We're going to get going. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar, the kickoff of our webinar season for the Rocky Mountain Asphalt Education Center and CAPA. We're going to proceed into that webinar here in just a minute. But before we get started, I would need to do a little bit of housekeeping. And thank you for being on today. We appreciate everybody being on. As I commonly state, that our webinar series is done at no charge because of our great sponsors. You can see our great sponsors on the screen here. We have sponsors from industry. We have sponsors from other associations. We have sponsors from contractors as well. So you can see them all on the screen. Our APWA Colorado chapter and CARS, those make it free webinars for all of the agency people. Our industry partners, Cassie, Colorado Asphalt Services Incorporated, and Schmidt Construction out of Colorado Springs, Vance Brothers, Binvix Technologies, and Black Magic, which are sister companies, A1 Chip Seal, the MEGPEG, the Municipal Government Pavement Engineers Council, and the Federal Highway Administration. And we want to thank all of them for their support and to keep these webinars at no cost. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. I'm going to turn it over to Tom Peterson. Tom, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tom, and good afternoon. Welcome to our kickoff webinar for 2025. I'm Tom Peterson, and we're excited to kick off the year with our annual Industry Outlook webinar. And I'm excited to present the information that we have from CAPA to help kickstart and start the year with you, our members and agency partners. This is a team presentation. Myself, Tom Peterson, Mike Skinner, Director of Engineering, and Tom Clayton, our Director of Technical Services. And so our intent in the next 75 to 90 minutes is to give you an overview of what we see from an industry perspective in the coming year and new developments, trends, things we're working on within the association. A quick overview of the webinar. There's a broad spectrum of attendees, everyone from city, county, state, and product providers, contractors, suppliers, and we welcome all of you to the webinar. This is being recorded and will be available, and the presentation is already on the CAPA website. About 5 primary parts of the webinar. Number one is this is your introduction to CAPA. We'll spend a few slides letting you know who we are and what our primary mission is. And secondly, a look back to 2024, and then we'll get into the meat of the order, and that is our projection for 2025 industry trends, and then we will round out the order with technical updates, new developments, and close with opportunities for education, training, and resources available through CAPA. First of all, our membership. As you see here, we are supported, our producer and supplier members, 20 producer members all around the state of Colorado, 4 suppliers. A couple of changes from last year. Upper left corner, Bettis Asphalt and Construction, a new member in Eastern Colorado. And right in the middle, a new asphalt supplier, Synovus Asphalt, is included. Those are 2 changes from last year, 2 that are no longer there. APC Southern and ARI are now part of what's in the upper right-hand corner, United or a CRH company, but we should appreciate the support of our producer and supplier members, the backbone of the association. The Colorado asphalt market, approximately 66 stationary asphalt production facilities. The newest is the photo on the left, and that is the Martin Marietta facility up on US 34, came online here in the fall of 2024. There are 5 to 8 portable production facilities that do work around the state, including the one in the middle photograph, an APC Southern, now a United company facility that does portable work. Market-wise, 8 to 9 million tons. And that's what we have been in that area over the last few years. A majority of our producer members operate sand, gravel, quarry operations. Majority of our producers are also paving or laydown contractors. And our industry continues to vary from privately held, locally owned and operated, and then some very large, vertically integrated, meaning all product lines, publicly traded, national or even internationally owned. And we're led by a board of directors. Our president, Ryan Yock, in the left-hand part of the screen there from Martin Marietta, their vice president of asphalt for the state of Colorado. And we have an executive committee with our officers listed there. And then 4 new board members joined the board here this fall. You see them there: Brad Elliott from Ferris Machinery, Mark Bettis from Bettis Companies, Mike Scardina, Synovus Energy, and Brad Schmitz from HV Sinclair. A couple of the primary arms of the association are conference, the Rocky Mountain Asphalt Conference and Equipment Show, planning the 52nd annual coming up on February 19th and 20th. And then a core part of CAPA is the Rocky Mountain Asphalt Education Center and the certification component, LabCat, which has been a partnership with CDOT since 1996 and is continuing strong. And this is the middle of our first week of training here in the certification program in 2025. Our membership, 24 producer supplier member companies, 173 associate and affiliates, 80 local agencies, one of 3 associations in the country to have city, county, towns, public highway authorities part of the association. So we have 277 total member organizations, the largest by number in the country. Our asphalt partners, many of them for many, many years: NAPA, NCAT, the Asphalt Institute, the Asphalt Pavement Alliance, the Rocky Mountain Asphalt User Producer Group, World of Asphalt, Asphalt Pro Magazine, and AAPT, which is a research arm of the industry. 2 new ones, relatively new: CAPRI, which is a consortium of asphalt research and implementation coordinated by NCAT. Mike Skinner is on the steering committee of CAPRI, and CAPA is a member. And then the World of Women of Asphalt, the Colorado chapter, one of the most active in the country. Those are our partners just on the asphalt side. On the industry side, we partner and expand the footprint of CAPA through partnering on the industry side. You see organizations like CCA, Stone, Sand, and Gravel, IPOC, and then on the agency side, APWA, CARS, FAA, MAGPEG, Colorado Airport Operators, and others, Federal Highway Administration. And so CAPA is doing much work with and through our partners. And one new development that we're very excited to announce in December, and that is that the CAPA Board of Directors has reached a 25-year agreement for Asphalt Lab naming rights up at CSU Construction Management. We're coining this a legacy partnership. It requires a financial contribution to the program with 5 key deliverables: renovation of the lab, update the equipment, maintain and expand the asphalt curriculum, focus on heavy civil, and then student recruitment and support. And so our industries had long-standing ties to CSU, and that will continue and expand with this new legacy partnership. Very quickly, our mission to advance the use and quality of asphalt pavements in Colorado. We highlighted asphalt pavements. Initially, it was the quality of produced asphalt, hot mix. But our mission is to advance anything black, asphalt pavement. We're here to support and to encourage the advanced use and quality of asphalt pavements. And so we're involved in all types of asphalt pavement, whether it's city, county, state, federal, trails, the indoor track there at Kia, as well as all types of involvement from the design, construction, maintenance, and a growing area of involvement is in asset management and ensuring the right application is done at the right time with the right investment. The market in Colorado, the pie divided 4 primary parts, starting in the upper right, CDOT. Somewhere between 15 and 20%, 17 here in 2024, local agency, city, county. The biggest piece of the pie, 40%, commercial, which includes development or residential, 33, and other, which is a significant piece of the pie in purple at other, and we'll expand on our discussion of that. All told, 9 million tons of produced asphalt annually in Colorado. 2024, the asphalt market, a look back. We'll start with this. Here is the slide that we closed the presentation in last January. And we said we project that in 2024, there'll be 9.2 million tons of asphalt placed and consumed in Colorado. This would represent an estimated 2% increase, a nominal increase in overall market for asphalt materials as compared to 23. It would be broken into the 4 categories. We split commercial, residential. So the 5 with the potential increases, all the areas were in black, meaning either no change or a slight increase, including a 10% double-digit increase in the city county. Well, what happened? Well, the reality of 2024, we've found 3 key market issues. The first, the economy continued to slow with high interest rates resulting in a drop in the commercial residential market. Projects delayed or deferred, some. The second is that we had a projection from CDOT, but there were 2 projects that were rejected that counted for over 100,000 ton, and 5 projects were deferred for one reason or another to 2025. And so those 5 projects accounted for over 100,000 tons. Third is the city-county program, steady funding levels, but smaller project sizes due to higher cost. So you had budgets that were flatlined or just up a little bit, but the project size or tonnage funded within that was reduced because of higher cost. So the result is what we call the AIAP collection. That's the assessment of our dues system that tracks the use of liquid asphalt in Colorado down here. And you can see the column on the right. That was the total of revenue in 2024. So the actual 2024 market of asphalt pavement in Colorado decreased by 12%. As compared to 2023. So I think it's I don't remember being off by more than, the mid-single digits, but to be off by about 12% was probably the biggest delta that we have had. So we back calculate the tons based on our revenue, make a few assumptions of virgin asphalt, the amount of RAP, how many tons are done by non-members to come up with a total. And we use the same assumptions for going back many years. So a drop to 8.0 million tons of HMA in 2024. And that compares to other years where the actual in 2024, 8 million tons, 9 million in 2023. And so again, the city county projected decrease of 10% of volume of tonnage. State CDOT was down 11% from 1.5 million in 2023 to 1.3 million in 24. And as we mentioned, the commercial residential market falling off as well. So in actual tons, 8 million in 2024, a 12% decrease as compared to 2023. So here's a total listed going back to 2015, the actual tonnage that we tracked and the change from the prior year. And interestingly, up, down, the last couple of years are down. So we're hoping for a black year here in 2025. Let me start with the outlook, market conditions as we look forward to this year. What is the word on the street, if you will? And let me start with that. The first slide, it's obviously when you talk to people, it's what you could call anecdotal, but it tempers an actual projection by just talking to those in the industry. And there's a number of people who track the market and their sector very, very closely. And so the information gathered there we think is helpful. From one of our heavy equipment suppliers, we feel good about 2025, and we're forecasting a mid-single-digit growth in business. The housing market is up, interest rates are down, and we're starting the year with strong sales. An emulsion, chip seal, slurry seal provider, it's too early to tell, but we're optimistic that the market is the same or better than last year. A utility paving contractor, we're expecting 2025 to be equal or slightly better than 2024. One of our contractor members up north, 2025 looks to be a strong year. We start the season with a backlog bigger than 2024. An agency development inspector down in the Springs and El Paso County area, we have not seen a slowdown in new filings. Our development continues to be very busy. And then a materials consultant engineer, we're optimistic that the economy is going to move forward in 2025. We are, however, cautious that agency spending will be impacted by budget cuts and are reduced. So that comment there, I think, encapsulates a good frame of this outlook, and that is optimistic that the economy is coming back ever so slightly, but cautious that government spending will be flat and project spending will be a result of that. The Bible, in my opinion, according to the Colorado economy, is what the lead school of business comes up with. Up at CU Boulder, they put a comprehensive document together. They have professionals in 11 different industry sectors that meet and discuss, debate, and I participated in that for a number of years and put this outlook together. It's presented. It's available through our website. And they presented it in December. Three key points I'll make in general information before we move on to the specific construction market, and that is nationally, the real GDP, gross domestic product, is expected to grow by 2.3%. Very small number, but in the positive direction. Of the 11 industry sectors in Colorado, 10 are projected to grow, but ever so slightly. Again, it's black, it's positive, but ever so slightly. What economic issues are key to that projection? Number one, inflation. Not that it's stopped, but it's leveling off, if you will. Interest rates are inching down, but still high, and then slow growth in government spending. And so we'll build on the comments here on the subsequent slides, but to reinforce that inflation element over the past year in 2024, costs have increased 1.7% nationally and decreased by 0.4% in Denver. And you can see that graph up at the top leveling off late 2022, 23, and 24. And that's good information with respect to volume of work for our industry. Let me focus on this, a very busy graph, but residential construction. The graph chart on the left is from the Lead School of Business Economic Forecast, and this tracks residential building permits by type from 2015 to 2025 and is broken per year, single family, multifamily, and then total housing units there on the right. And you can see that in 2024 compared to 2023, multifamily was down significantly, down 47%. Single family was up 8%. So a shift, multifamily versus single family. Multifamily, interestingly, tipped 50% in 2023, the first time ever. And now it's back down to roughly 33% in 24 and estimated at 33% in 2025. And I'll explain the significance of that in a minute. But they're projecting in 2025 that single family will be up approximately 12% to just under 24,000. And multifamily will be up approximately 10% to 11 and a half. So the increase is due to higher in-migration, declining interest rates. But note the total housing units in 2025 projected at 35,200, and how that, other than in 2024, is much lower than all the years between 2016 and 2023. Now, let me, Tom, if you move to the next slide, the paving tons for multifamily, like an apartment, as shown on the left, is approximately 5 to 10% of the amount of material or paving that's used for single family housing construction, as you can see on the right. So if, boy, multifamily is way up and single family down, the tonnage may be drastically different. But the projection for 25 is that single family is coming back, 12% increase, and a 10% increase in multifamily. So the housing construction residential, which combines all single family and multifamily into one number, up 10%. Commercial, and this is what they call in the outlook non-residential construction. That's remodeled offices, medical, school, churches, apartment complexes, or not apartment complexes, shopping centers. It's expected to decline slightly in 2025 to 4.1 billion, down 7% from 2024. The driver of the growth, or the driver of the decline, in the book, they identified it as state and local energy policy. And so commercial market, your shopping centers, down 7% in 2025 is the projection. This graph encapsulates those numbers: residential, non-residential, total building, non-building, and total construction. And so the forecast, as mentioned earlier, residential up 10%, due to an expected 12% growth in single family. Commercial down 7%. But now let me speak to that non-building construction, and that is non-building. Interestingly, transportation, highway market is part of that. And I'll read it. Spending on transportation will remain steady, although the number and nature of those projects could change. Higher prices, increased allocation to transit and multimodal combined with flat budgets could decrease the overall number of projects awarded and size of paving projects. And we're seeing that in Colorado. So transportation doesn't mean necessarily highways, bridges, and pavements. And we're seeing increased allocation in the state away from highways to more transit, multimodal mobility hubs, electric vehicle support. And so the final statement there, non-building construction, which is your highway transportation, and they're projecting an increase in 2025, but not in transportation sector. There are several multi-year mega utility projects that are pending. And so that kind of rounds out the total construction there. And so let me shift gears and move into CDOT. We track CDOT very closely, and there's three components of the CDOT asphalt pavement program. The first one depicted on the paving, milling and paving on the bottom left, surface treatment program, that's their mill overlay, surface treatment work. The second is capital construction and carryover work from the year before. We track that. And then maintenance supply, the orange trucks showing up at the plant, purchasing material for their own crews to lay down. A look back at 2024, and all this information is on our website. So if I go through it real quickly, you will have it available for you to peruse. The 2024 surface treatment or ST plan tons, 1.3 million. Actual, 1.1 million. And you can see the breakdown by region and the change in tons that resulted in about a 200,000 ton drop, again, because of deferred and projects that were bids rejected. Also in 2024 on the capital side, design, builds, CMGC, and other funds, there were 8 projects that total approximately 200,000 ton. They include the US 85 South Santa Fe, State Highway 71 carryover, Vail Pass, I-25 Fountain South down in south of Colorado Springs, carryover project on 115 Floyd Hill, and then the completion of the design build project on US 550 and 160 in Durango, and the continued work up north on I-25, 200,000 tons. CDOT supply, approximately 80,000 tons. So 2024, CDOT, the entire all-in number, 1,298,000 tons, or just at 1.3 million tons. So in terms of moving forward, one reality is the stagnant funding in CDOT's asset management program. They had a spike back in 2019, but other than that, the projection moving forward is a flat line in their surface treatment program all the way through 2028 and beyond, where it's approximately 225, 230 million of funded asset management surface treatment projects funded by and within the CDOT market. The projection that we were given in November showed that 2025 would decline to a projected ton of around 880,000. And that projection has been amended or updated to be just under 1 million tons with a couple of additional projects added or additional funding added. So that's the projection. As you can see, though, that puts it right in the same category as a couple of 2 or 3 or 4 down years going back to 2016. And so we still haven't gotten in the actual tons of 2024, but we've tracked it, and we have a very close number to the one that's listed there. Real quickly on the maintenance, the CDOT maintenance divides their year into 2 parts. January 1st to June 30th, July 1st to December 31st. And then we've added the Region 1 IDIQ, which outsources their maintenance paving to the contractor. So the projection in 2025 is CDOT maintenance to be at approximately 75,000 tons statewide for support of their internal maintenance forces and the IDIQ paving. One new development that I want to touch on is that in 2025, the IDIQ approach is being expanded in CDOT maintenance to include Pueblo maintenance section. And so they are using the model that Region 1 uses, and that is to have an on-call contract and have contractors go out and pave what traditionally had been done by state forces. 2025 capital and carryover projects, there's 7 of them. The work will continue on US 85, South Santa Fe, 25,000 tons, Floyd Hill, 30,000 tons. The completion of the Garden of the Gods project, 30,000 ton. Completion of the I-70 Vail Pass, CMGC projects, 30,000 tons. Work will continue up north on I-25. Work will start on Colorado 119 Mobility at 37,000 tons, and then the work out at I-70 Burlington, the year 2 of a 200,000 ton project, will continue with the completion of that job, 80,000 tons for I-70 and 56,000 on US 24, so a total of 300,000 tons of capital work in addition to their base program. So the projection for 2025, each of the regions, 2024 surface treatment actual tons was right at 1 million. We're projecting 2025 right at 1 million, or down 43,000 tons as compared to each of the regions. Region 1 is up over 100. Tom, if you could go back, I'm sorry, I screwed you up with my pointing. Region 1 is up of 100, a little bit down in Region 2, over 100,000 down in 3, 100,000 down in 4, up close to 100 in Region 5, so a net loss of 43,000. Capital, close to 300,000 tons. Maintenance, 75. So a grand total of CDOT minus what we project as 150,000 tons of deferred, rejected bids or carryover at 1.2 million. And let me just dwell on that for a moment, is rather than have an all-in projection, if everything goes perfect, it would be 150,000 tons higher than that. But as we've seen each and every year, some projects don't get done, some are deferred, and some bids rejected. And so 100 or 1.2 million ton projection for CDOT in 2025. So to wrap up CDOT, and again, this is all on our website. I've spoken very quickly. 2023, 1.5 million tons. 2024, 1.3 million. Our projection to 2025 is 1.2 million tons. This would be an 8% decrease over 2024. And so in total, 1.3 million of 8 million tons. So we're projecting CDOT to be 16% of the market will be CDOT tons. So we're estimating this represents an 8% decrease in CDOT volume as compared to 2024. And the 1.2 million tons represents a 16% of the projected Colorado total of 8 million tons. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Skinner to take us through the city-county market. Mike?
Thanks, Tom. So as we saw in one of Tom's earlier slides when we talked about market share, the breadbasket of the paving industry really falls into the local agency market. Those are the cities and counties. And we have, over the last decade, put a lot of effort into dialing in the metrics that we can measure how that market is performing and what the forecast looks like. So that's what I'm going to share with you right now. But when questions come up, where is the asphalt located across the state? For the cities and counties, we've got about 59,000 lane miles of asphalt across the state, and CDOT only is responsible for about, that number's a little low, about 23,000 lane miles across the state. So the rest of it falls in the cities and counties. And it's divided up by these pins, and these pins represent MPOs, or municipal planning organizations, across the state, the 5 that we have in the state. So if we start over on the west slope, we have the Grand Valley MPO. That's the city of Grand Junction, the city of Fruita, Palisade, Mesa County, etc. And if we add up all the HUTF report lane miles, that's where these numbers come from. We see about 2,500 lane miles that Grand Valley MPO is responsible for. Come over here to the Front Range, and if we go up north to the Front Range, that's Greeley, Fort Collins, Larimer County, Weld County, etc. You can see the numbers. They're at about 11,000. Then the big dog on the Front Range is DRCOG, or the Denver Regional Council of Governments, pushing about 30,000 lane miles now in the Denver Front Range, 6-county metro area, and all the cities that are encompassed there. Down further south in Pikes Peak region, that's Colorado Springs, El Paso County, Monument, etc. And then the last MPO is the Arkansas Valley MPO. That's Pueblo County, Canyon City, etc. But it's just a good snapshot of what we already know, that there's a lot of activity up and down the Front Range, limited activity out on the eastern plains and the western slope. But this is just it's a good snapshot infographic of where are the miles across the state. So as Tom was talking about metrics, as part of the Lead School of Business, they have some documentation in there about the Colorado Municipal League and the surveys that they put out and their forecasts for funding at the city at the city level for municipal governments in the county. And their anticipation for municipal governments, I've highlighted that results from the 2024 survey show that a majority of responding municipalities, cities, feel that their economy and their revenue is about the same or somewhat better than a year ago. And we've got some data. I'll talk to that in just a minute. But at the county level, they have a different perspective on that. And they're really highlighting record inflation. And their takeaway there is that local governments have grappled with how to continue offering critical services to support their infrastructure while the purchasing power continues to erode. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I'll share some good news before we get there. One of the things that CAPA is very active and involved with is working with local agencies around the state that when they put street tax ballot initiatives on the ballot in November each year, in various forms, sales tax, property tax, bonding issues. We've seen all kinds of different ones, and it ranges from border to border across the state. But here's a couple of programs that were successful this year on the November ballot, and you can see the rate of approval were significant. Arapahoe County, they're in the 60 to 70% approval rate. And so one of the things that we'd like to highlight and share with you this year for our local agency partners is the CAPA Board of Directors have approved development of a new program that we have here at CAPA, and it's a financial program to work with local agencies to provide funding to support some of these tax initiatives. Now, the financial support can't go directly to the local agency, but we as CAPA work with the citizens groups, the departments of economic development, the Chamber of Commerce, etc., the folks that are actually promoting the initiative. So if you've got something on your radar, please reach out and let us know. We have the ability to provide some help. But in order to talk about some of these metrics, like I said, about a decade ago, we started tracking information from local agencies. And we are the only asphalt pavement association around the country that does this to this level. And we now have over 100 agencies with data supporting and tracking what is happening in that market. As Tom talked about earlier with his slides about CDOT, there's a lot of information there. There's a lot of data available. On the local agency, that data is not available. We have to go out and track it down. So we send this report out every year. I send it out in December, and information come back in. But we've got 106 agencies now that we will be releasing the information next week. I'm just going to give you a sneak peek of what some of the results look like for today. But this is what the data looks like that we track inside the report. The agency, the size of their network that they're tracking, the year that they've most recently responded to the survey, and then what their asphalt program looks like for this season, for 2025. And when I say asphalt, I don't mean just asphalt tonnage. I mean their maintenance program, their crack sealing, their surface seal, their chip seals, and their mill and overlay program. So it's everything that falls into our wheelhouse for our members. And that's what I mean when I say asphalt program. So when we take that total budget for an agency and we divide it by the number of lane miles they have, that's where we come up with this purple number. That is the dollar per lane mile that an agency is spending on their street improvement program. There are a couple of them here that are some really big numbers that look at it, when you look at Federal Heights or you look at the city of Greeley or Greenwood Village. Those are outliers, and there are some specific reasons why their numbers may be very high, or there's some specific reasons where we may have a very small one. It potentially is most likely the cases when they've recently passed a sales tax initiative and they're getting a new wave of money that's coming in. That usually typically boosts the number up. But that's what and then we're also tracking the pavement condition index. That's the numbers that you see ranging from green to red. The value in doing this is what we're seeing is that the elected officials at the local agencies are then getting this information presented to them from their staff, from Road and Bridge at the county, or from city staff to city council. And it's an independent source of information that they can then help use to promote the issues that they're promoting internally within their city, to say, here's how we compare to our neighboring cities, or here's how we compare to the county that we're located in, or we find a comparable network that's got about the same size mileage. How are we doing? And that's where this tool really starts to become very powerful in discussions with local agency elected officials. 4 programs that I'll just talk to about of note that where we're going to see some big changes this year in 2025. I've got 2 positives and 2 negatives. I'll start with the 2 positives. In Douglas County, they're looking at a $6.5 million bump to their road and bridge budget this year for 2025, showing an overall increase on about 37%. Fort Collins is also showing a nice move forward, almost $3 million to their street budget, about 24% increase. On the other side, we see a couple of major decreases in a couple of other agencies. City and County of Denver is seeing about a $10 million budget cut to their street budget. It's about 30% hit to their overall street budget. And then Mesa County is seeing a big hit. They're losing about $8.6 million to their road and bridge budget. That's about a 60% hit to Mesa County. So there are some concerns there. But if we look at the overall agency market, out of those 106 agencies that have replied, I can tabulate all of what their capital expenditures are going to be for their street program, and that's what this $452 million number is. Those are local agency mill and overlay programs. And then on top of that, we also ask them to provide a general snapshot issue of what their funding is going to look like for their capital projects. Those are usually run through their engineering department. And when we add those up, that's where the $940 million comes in. This is a light bulb moment when we share this kind of data. This is approaching $1 billion of local agency work for 2025. Half of that work will be local annual programmed work. Another half of that will be local or capital projects. But this is where we talk about the breadbasket of our industry and the economic impact that it has to our members and our industry. Tom showed a graph a little while ago about funding for CDOT, and it was stagnant. Our local agency partners are frankly doing much better. So kudos to our local agency folks. And you can see almost over a decade, you can see the increase in infrastructure spending specifically for annual street programs. Now, there is some inflation here because the number of agencies that report grows every year. We get a couple more that trickle in each year. So for example, the difference between 2024 and 2025, in the 2024 report, there were only 102 agencies that were reporting. This year we had 106. So agencies are going up, but the number of agencies are also responding. Now, the biggest takeaway, how do we develop some trends from this data, is since we do this every year, I go through and I look to see what agencies did we get responses from in 2024 and 2025. And we can do a head-to-head comparison for an agency and say, are you up or are you down? This year we have 20 of those. Last year we had 19 that we could do a head-to-head. So that's our sample size of 20 agencies. Out of those 20 agencies, 9 of those agencies are reporting decreasing budgets. 2 agencies are neutral, didn't change in their budgets. Less than half of the agencies, only 9 of the 20, are showing an increase, a net increase in 20 million up, almost 50 million down. So you can see the net overall for these 20 agencies program is down about $30 million just for these. So the fact that it's 20 or 25 agencies isn't important. What we're looking here is for trends. And the trend is the spending is going to be down. How does that compare to where we were last year? Capital projects last year, just for these 20 head-to-head, was about $100 million, 106 this year is being reported at 155. Take that number with a grain of salt. The capital projects are difficult to track. And when a number gets reported by an agency to say, we're going to do a roadway construction project here, a lot of times those projects include culverts or new signage, new hardscaping, new drainage improvements. So that budget isn't entirely roadway paving. So be careful how you interpret the capital project numbers. But where we do have a sense of comfort is on the mill and overlay programs, was we know how that money is being spent and where it's being spent. Last year, the head-to-head comparison was at about $132 million. This year, we'll call it $135 million. So we're seeing a very slight uptick, and this is on par with what Tom talked about earlier, a slight but steady uptick in the positive direction. And then maintenance, because these numbers are so low, that can look drastic, that number is cut in half. But because those numbers are so low, that delta can swing very quickly. But that's why we track it in maintenance, and what falls into that category of maintenance spending. Those are what agencies are reporting for their chip seal programs, their slurry seal programs, and their crack seal programs. But they're in generally reporting them down. The last component is of our market share is the others, and it's kind of a catch-all, but as Tom alluded to earlier, it's an important piece of our market share at 10% plus or minus, and I'll share what our projection is going to look like here in a minute. But we have toll roads here in the Denver metro area, the airports across the state that are serving the 64 counties, highways on federal lands, our national parks, our military complexes at our military bases, the federal center, and our state parks. All of these have healthy programs, and so it's hard to capture that data. So we all lump that into this, what we call the other category. But let's just talk about military spending for just a minute. And we've got some facilities here at military bases, Air Force Academy, Cheyenne Mountain, etc. We reached out to one of our contractors that specializes and does a lot of military contracting, and their quote here at the bottom: our federal infrastructure spending looks up as compared to 2024. Our backlog is very strong. There's strong bidding, and we feel we're going to have a very strong year up and over 2024. Those are federal dollars. We'll see what happens with the new leadership that comes in at the federal level. We know at some of the environmental programs, there's been discussion of what that's called a clawback, or pulling back money that may have been planned but not dedicated yet. So we'll see how that impacts some of these other federal dollars. But here's a snapshot of what falls into those federal dollars, and our relationship and our partnership with the FAA and CDOT Aeronautics, and the plans that they have for the different airports across the state. We do a springtime meeting with them each year, and they actually give us a 2-year projection, 25 and 26 and beyond. And so we see some significant projects in here that are on the radar for 2025, but a strong, healthy airport program. The tollways that we have across the Denver metro area are some of our finest maintained roadways. If we go out to E470, if you look at a summary of our CAPA Best in Colorado Awards program, they are perennial winner out there on E470, and they continue to be a great and strong partner. And as we look at that loop around the Denver metro area, there is some heartbeat that has been brought back to the Jefferson Parkway. That's the very last piece of the puzzle that has been dead and stagnant for many years. But the city and county of Brighton has officially pulled out of it. Now it's just Golden and Arvada. So there is a slight opportunity to revive that opportunity and try to bring the Jefferson Parkway back. But when I was talking about the example and success of E470, they continue to widen E470 in segments from year to year because their traffic projections have been exceeding their usage has been exceeding their projections for almost a decade at this point. So they're spending $100 to $150 million CMGC projects planned to widen the next phase, 104th to US 85. It'll be 11-mile phase in the 26 to 27 market. Right now, they're completing the work on the I-70 to 104th phase. If you drive out to Pena Boulevard and the airport, you've driven through that. So they're actively wrapping up that project out there. Our National Parks and Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, this also falls under our category of others. And so I've just listed a couple of projects through BLM there at the top, and then down below the U.S. Forest Service. These are actual projects in Colorado as part of the Great American Outdoors Act. That was a large federally funded program through the infrastructure program, and they have ongoing new funding for roadway spending across the national park system. And we're happy to see that, because those dollars had been in a deferred maintenance category for many, many years. And now with this new onset of federal dollars, they're looking at spending that money here, and we're happy to see that. And then the last component of our other category is these are Federal Highway Administration, FHWA kind of specialty projects, and we continue to track this data here specifically on these 4 projects that are highlighted on the radar at the FHWA that are in various stages of development. Some of them are in planning, some of them are in procurement at this point. So this is what comprises that other category. So for the last 30 minutes, we've been talking about CDOT, local agencies, our residential market, and our other. So here is our projection for 2025. The market segment category numbers have changed a little bit. You can see them in red, but the city and county market we're projecting at 38% of the market share. Last year, we projected it at 40%. Our DOT market is at 16%, commercial at 22%, residential is up and going strong, as we saw anecdotally in El Paso County and the data that Tom shared about building permits. And then our other category. So we shifted 2% of the market. We took it away from the city and the county. It went from 40 to 38, and it went up in the other category, went from 10 to 12. But you can see our history of what our tonnage looks like. Our high water mark was all the way back in 2008 when we were at 12 million tons that year. This year, our projected number of total tonnage across the state is 7.8 million tons. It's a 3% decrease of what we anticipate or what we had last year at our total tonnage. But we see, so I've been sharing some information about slight increases in funding, but an increase in funding, if it's a slight increase in funding, doesn't translate to an increase in project delivery and tonnage because of price escalation. So while we may see steady or slight increases in budgets, actual program delivery is down, and that's where we're forecasting actual program delivery to be down about 3% this year as an overall state, 7.8 million tons. We do have a couple of big projects on the horizon in 2026 and beyond, are what we call our $100 million project club, and we've got 4 of them on the radar that we're watching. Up north in CDOT Region 4, they'll be realigning US 287 north of Ted's Place. Northern Water is building a new dam up there, so they're having to reroute 287. That project is tied up in lawsuits right now, but that's a $100 million project. Down in Durango, CDOT Region 5 has a large $100 million CMGC project on US 160. The Grand Junction Airport will be beginning construction on their new parallel runway. It's a $150 million project starting in 2026. And then sooner rather than later, Denver International Airport is ready to begin construction on their new 7th runway, which will be their longest one out there. It will be a concrete runway, but asphalt will be used as asphalt-treated permeable base shoulders as part of the project. So that will be another $100 million project. So we've got 4 very large projects in the wings that we're just starting to keep our eyes on. So as we move away from our market share and budget, let's talk about some new trends and developments in our industry. I've got one slide, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Tom before we move in that direction. So industry trends, the 3 things I'd just like to share with you quickly here. We continue to see progress for what we are calling balanced mix design at the state level for DOTs, and we're at the local agency. We see movement. The local agency market has developed a new specification specifically for local agencies addressing gyrations and binders and AC content. So CAPA is staying actively involved in that. The second element that we're developing here at CAPA is we are continuing to promote the sustainability, environmental and sustainability element of our industry. And there are some agencies that are really embracing this. And so we will be developing a new recognition program here, a local agency Green Star program. We haven't named it yet. If you have any great suggestions, drop us an email. We'd love to see it. We're looking for something catchy, something snazzy, but recognizing a local agency and the efforts that they're using within their public works department or their streets department to promote their sustainability programs. And then the last technical issue that I'd like to share with you that we're excited about is the implementation of high mod or highly modified asphalt. High mod is a proprietary name, but we're starting to see use of this across the United States. Our neighbor to the west over there in Utah is having a very robust program with that this year. In 2025, they're looking to put down 500,000 tons, but it's a highly modified asphalt. It's got a lot of polymer in it, and it has a high AC content, but it's a tool to compete, to perform with high traffic on high traffic areas, in areas that need significant to withstand significant traffic. Right now, CDOT Region 3 is looking at putting a pilot project down with this in the near future, where they put it down as a blacktop overlay over some poor performing concrete that we have along I-70 out there in Region 3. So here I'm going to turn this back to Tom Peterson, and Tom's going to just talk to us a little bit about some more industry trends, specifically talking about pricing.
Thank you, Mike. One comment on that Green Streets program. We think there's an opportunity, as Mike said, for agencies to take credit or get recognized for the good things they're already doing. And so if you have a comment on that with respect to, boy, you're already using wrap or warm mix or different mix or construction practices that are green or sustainable, we want to help recognize that, similar to a Tree City USA type program. And so give Mike a call or contact us to allow your input to be part of that. Cost, CAPA does not track cost. We can speak in general terms. As agencies put budgets together, as they develop programs, they often will contact us saying, what should we be doing from a budgetary standpoint? And the first question we often ask back is, well, clarify, are you asking for mixed cost or project costs or liquid costs? Because there are three different questions, and we need to divide it or be clear on what we're talking about with respect to cost. And so obviously the first component is the cost of the material aggregate. We lean on our friends from the Stone, Sand, and Gravel Association with respect to demand, supply, availability. And in Colorado in 2023, 1 year removed, the CSSGA announced in December that in 2023, 55 million tons of aggregate were produced in the state of Colorado. That's a flat number because of market conditions, but they're projecting in 2025 for that number to stay flat. What's interesting is you look at the bottom number on the left, NSSGA 53.6 million. That is just what NSSGA does, is take raw population numbers and then multiply that by approximately 9 to 10 tons of aggregate per year per person to get 53.6. So that's a educated guess, but you can see how close that aligns to what NS or CSSGA projected here in Colorado. So aggregate, flat, and flat structure on the cost. Asphalt binder. It's important to point out the number of issues that impact both supply and cost dynamics. And getting this information directly from our suppliers, availability obviously impacts the price structure. Refining capacity, shortages or upsets, or in other words, production problems, supply and demand dynamics, trucking, and then of course energy and terminal costs to heat and store the asphalt. So those are the factors that go into the price structure. We have 4 suppliers that are members of CAPA. On the right, a new one, Synovus, with a terminal in Hudson, and the WTI crude oil pricing, you can see is pretty flat here in 2024 and projected into 2025. So the word that we are projecting here from a liquid asphalt, the liquid coat in the rock, is that we are not aware of any disruptions. Asphalt supply is available on all typical binder products, and the price structure has remained steady over the last few months. And so that's the on the asphalt binder standpoint. From a project cost, there's a number of factors that go into impacting the cost of our projects, and you can see them here: wages, materials selection, employee cost, and of course regulatory, permitting cost, and material sources. And so those are general information that impacts project costs. But here's a slide that we include each year, and that is to indicate what we would consider the top 5 tips of maximizing your limited dollars. And that is, get the work out early, use recycled. And now we're seeing agencies 15, 20%, 25 in the specifications. Uniformity and consistency in material requirements, maximizing work hours and project schedule, and of course prompt pay. And so if you reverse that and say, I'm sorry, Tom, if you reverse that and say, what would be done to increase costs? Well, get your work out late. Don't allow wrap, use some unique mix, limit the work hours, and don't pay the contractor for a couple of years. You're going to have higher costs. And so again, we would look at these as best practices with respect to optimizing or maximizing your limited dollar. Transitioning, industry news regarding national politics and policy. As Mike mentioned, we had a briefing with the National Asphalt Pavement Association. The terminology clawback was used, a rollback or a clawback regulatory. On the environmental side, a reform with respect to the environmental justice, zoning, and permitting, potential impacts or redirection of the environmental programs. And so that'll be interesting, as Colorado is knee-deep at the state level in their environmental product declaration program. And then funding, is there an opportunity for reallocation? So the 4 R's: rollback, reform, redirection, reallocation. And I think those have an opportunity to be received very favorably from the industry at the national level, and much to come. In Colorado, I think the reality is that we're a one-party control. The governor, the House, the Senate is all controlled by one party. The election results are very close to a supermajority or a veto proof in both the House and the Senate. And budget cuts were the talk of the town at the governor's State of the State speech last week. $750 million deficit. And then regulatory control and hopefully reform at the state level. Interesting, it comes on the heels of a report that the state chamber came out on in December that said by the end of 2024, Colorado has already become the state with the 6th highest number of business restrictions, and that is spoken to by the graph over on the left. And so budget cuts, regulatory reform are if you will, topics here in Colorado. But one reality is the known transportation means more than just highways, bridges, and pavement. And those in the highway market did not fail to notice in Governor Polis's transportation vision unveiled in November. The focus, reducing emissions, expanding travel options, including double walking trips, and increasing non-vehicle travel, foot, bicycle, bus, and train. And so that's the governor's focus. And we on the highway side are saying, well, wait a minute. Here's some statistics that CDOT has, and that is as they inventory pavement condition, they saw a slight increase in statewide interstate condition, which is approximately 27% of their network. Then they have, or 17, I'm sorry. The NHS, the National Highway System, saw a 7% drop in 1 year in condition, and the state highway system, the third category, saw a 5% drop. And so Colorado has 3.3% of the Colorado interstates are in poor condition. Colorado's ranked 47th worst of 50 states by the federal highway. And knowing that 92% of the network is asphalt, our questions are, how can you, in the questions there on the right, how can you maintain the performance goals or meet the performance goals you have at the planned funding levels? And at current plan projected tonnage, and we circle the projection for 2025, how can you meet your performance goals? And so I think you'll hear more chatter of that this year with respect to that highways versus transit, air quality versus roadway surface and smoothness, and discussion at the policy level and the political level of investment and maintaining the 23,000 lane mile system in Colorado. And so the reality of that is more to come. So now to round out our outlook, I'll turn it over to Tom Clayton to discuss technical resources and opportunities for you here through CAPA in 2025. Tom?
Thank you, Tom. I'm going to go briefly of some of the things that we have that can help support the industry and what we're doing. I mean, obviously, these two on this page right here are real fluff items. We produce a calendar every year. We call it the Asphalt Pavements of Colorado calendar, and then you see up there on the right-hand side our membership directory. Hopefully, everybody has one of those on their desk now. If yours hasn't arrived yet, you can go ahead and give us a call. Give me an email here at the office. You can see some of the events that we are looking forward to in 2025. We have a couple of golf tournaments. We have our Women of Asphalt group, which is they've just had their they just celebrated their 5th anniversary in December, and they're coming up to their 5th anniversary golf tournament, which will be in the spring. New this year, we're going to do a clay shoot. We've announced that for May 23rd. We'll start doing registrations for that shortly after the Asphalt conference. We've started a summer tradition partnering with our Women of Asphalt group and do a summer barbecue. We have our CAPA summer meeting, our member meeting, and we've got that all lined up for August 8th, our CAPA golf tournament. NCAT, every 3 years, we bring the instructors from NCAT to Colorado, and they do their asphalt technology course, and that will be in November. And then we have our new member luncheon again in December. That's a great way to round out the year. We have a nice luncheon, we recognize our new members, and have a great Christmas party. As Mike talked about and Tom talked about earlier, the Asphalt Conference this year, we've upgraded the Asphalt Conference. Those of you that have been to our Asphalt Conference the past couple of years know we've been having it at the Barnyard. We were holding at the National Western Complex. Well, we heard loud and clear from those of you that attended that you wanted a better facility, you wanted to have better learning and education rooms. So we moved it. We're at the Denver Marriott Hotel, the Tech Center. It's going to be February 19th and 20th. Registration is open for that. It's going to be a streamlined, slickened conference with a lot of really good information over 30 breakout sessions. There's a typo there. 30 breakout sessions, a 1-day, 3-session Asphalt Plant Academy. And then on the first day, we follow it up with the Best in Colorado Awards being presented on that first night. We have a complete webinar series. This is number 1 in our webinar series. We have 12 webinars scheduled. They're at no cost, thanks to our great sponsors. CAPA has sponsorships with APWA, CARS, Megpeg, a lot of our producer members, BG Chemical, Vance Brothers, A1 Chip Seal. So there are great sponsors. You heard me talk about them in the beginning. You'll hear me talk about them again on the way out today. So anybody's interested in those, we also advertise those nationally on the APA website. So we're not only getting people locally on our webinars, we're getting people nationally on our webinar. Mike and I do training. You can see that we've got the date set up whenever you want it, and we'll do them wherever you want it. And the subjects are what you want us to talk about. So it's a short course in asphalt technology. These can be anywhere from an hour to a day long session, but we're out there and we're willing to help and support the industry. We do lunch and learns. These are short. These were typically anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. Again, at your place or here at our office in our training center. And again, the subjects are whatever you want us to talk about. You see, we've got a list of subjects there on the right-hand side, but that doesn't mean that we're restricted to that. We can, we'll come and talk. We'll do whatever you need us to talk about. We have an update from our training and certification center. We have a new instructor that just started. Actually, his first class started yesterday. Greg Potts will be leading the A, B, C, and E certifications for LabCat, as well as running the introduction to PCOA testing. So we welcome Greg to our team. The introduction to PCOA testing is a great course for any companies that have new employees that need to know more about the process control or the owner's acceptance at Realm. It's a 1 to 4 day course. We do each one of the levels A, B, C, and E on each of those days. So it starts on Tuesday with A and ends on Friday with E. Come to 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of the days. Greg goes through all of the procedures. He will go through all of the procedures that are needed for persons to get certified and or just need training. We do have other things that we work on. That's an old slide. Didn't change out the membership directory, but we have 2 different newsletters that go out monthly. The one that goes out the very first of the month is called the CAPA Monthly. That's our CAPA focused newsletter that talks about all the things going on within the industry. Then in the middle of the month, we have our training and education news, which focuses on just that, training and education. So 2 different newsletters, one on the first, one in the middle of the month, and we promote what's going on. The CAPA website is robust. Some people tell us it's overwhelming that we've got so much stuff on our website, but if you need anything, it should be there. If you can't find it, you can reach out to me and we'll try and help you out to get that. Just as a reminder, 95% of all the pavements are asphalt. We're out there, we're working hard. We're trying to make sure that our industry is getting shown in a good light. We're working with our members, we're working with the cities, the counties, the agencies, the private developers, and all the building owners, shopping center owners. We're out there trying to help them to create a better view of what's going on. So with that, Tom, I'm going to throw it back to you. Let you kind of finish this thing up.
Okay, well, thank you, Tom. Bottom line, CAPA's here to help. We look forward to 2025. One question I have for myself, if the city or if the word on the street is the up and funding is up, as Mike said, that does not and may not translate, and we're projecting it's not going to translate into increased tonnage. So just a follow-up comment there, but we're very proud of our industry. We're proud of all that our members do day in and day out, and we're proud to represent them. So with that, we thank you for you joining us. This will be this presentation will be on the CAPA website under resources, economic forecasts, and outlook. And I encourage you to let us know what we can do to better serve you in 2025. Thank you.